Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you another series in the Korea-China Invitational League. This one is going to be fantastic. Up here in the top right, he plays under a couple different IDs. Here you see he's playing as Dark, also known as Saber. He is a former pro gamer with Hwasong Oz, still very active on the ladder, very high on the ladder. So yeah, that is Saber, and he'll be playing 9 games total against the man, the myth, the legend, the best non-Korean player in the world, one of my favorite players to watch, Mihu. So this should be a good one. You know, I think that this is one that really could end up going either way. Obviously, that last series got a lot of good feedback on that. Hope that you did enjoy that Xiao Shui series going up against Paralyzed. Very, very close. Nail biter down to the ending. Hoping that we're going to get more of the same here. So yeah, thank you everyone so much for tuning into ArtosisCasts. Yeah, thank you. Please subscribe and all that. And let me know how you like the videos. I always appreciate a little thumbs up, a little upvote, a little comment. Always helps the videos to perform well and other people to find them. Also, and yeah, long live Brood War. All right, we're on Eclipse here. 9-game series, as previously mentioned. We're going to have a pool first coming out of Saber or Dark. I don't want to call him Dark because, well, he plays a lot on this particular ID. I think he's slightly better known as Saber, but more recently he's been playing a lot on this ID. But the thing is, you know, we have the actual player Dark, so it's like, you know, in Dark, of course, one of the like a former world champion in StarCraft 2. So just a better Zerg overall from a different game. And so it's like, oh man, guys, can we just be a little bit more original with our IDs, please? Anyways, it's just a pull first. It's not an aggressive build. It's a macro build that's a bit defensive. Having that pull first can do many things for you. For instance, you can get a quicker layer going, which I think we will end up seeing here for sure. And that's going to give you a more aggressive opener. It's not about the early Zerglings like he is making a few, but honestly, against this timing, you don't even make a bunker normally. Like, you can make a bunker. It's completely fine to make a bunker and make 2-3 Marines. Mihu might end up doing that. Yeah, he throws the bunker down. But you can also actually just, like, stack Marines up on the ramp, and as you get a few, just walk down and fight against the Lings. Now, if they continually make Lings, it can be a little bit problematic if you didn't make the bunker, but you know, anytime you can skip a bunker is a good time for Terran. So, a couple Marines come out, pop into that said bunker, and yeah, I guess we're gonna chill and wait a little bit, because, I mean, even if you make the bunker, like, it's just going to be a standard macro game anyways, right? Like, you're going to be going into a command center, going into your bio play, almost certainly. And, you know, the layer is very, very fast here, by the way. We'll see exactly what time it finishes. I wasn't really paying super attention to the time it started, but it was probably around 240 or so, which gives you much, much quicker Mutalisks. You have to be very careful about that because the turret timing is different. Now, Mihu, now this is just, like, a little bit interesting. He's going to go on 1 Rax. I've seen Mihu in the past add a second Rax against builds like this, but if you add a second Barracks against a build that gets a layer this quickly, after you got that bunker, like, your stim and everything is going to be so slow. Like, you can't start your academy before 4 minutes. And if you can't start it before 4 minutes, then you're kind of late on everything. Like, that's really the deadline for the academy against 2 hatchery play is 4 minutes. That's, like, as late as you want to get it. So you see here, he went for gas and academy into the second rack. So I think that this is a beautiful way to do it for Mihu. He's completely safe still. Obviously, he's got the bunker and everything. And the amount of Lings you'd have to make to break this is quite all in. And if Mihu, like, gets his SVs up there in time, it's going to be you losing the game as Zerg. So definitely have to be careful about that. Don't think he's going to pull something like that. I think this first game especially, the first probably couple games, are going to be more exploratory. These two have probably played each other on the ladder. I know I've certainly played against Saber on the ladder, and you know, but it's like a 9-game series, so there is some amount of feeling your opponent out, like, how are you going to play? There's a certain rhythm that occurs in in a competitive match, right? Where it's like, okay, is this going to be a cheesy match? Is this going to be a more macro-oriented match? What types of things are they trying to utilize to win, right? Because you're going to bring out your best stuff. This isn't just practice. Obviously, it can be good practice, but this isn't like practice games like on a ladder. You're going to approach it a bit different. Now, the mutas are being made right now. +1 attack on the way, so you can see that is a little bit of an aggressive stance. As soon as you see that +1 attack, you know they're going to be really focusing on harassing a lot with those mutalisks. Third barracks is going up for Mihu, as well as his missile turrets. Only got a couple so far. This one's pretty far back. I'm surprised about that one. Normally when you put something this far back, like when it's basically right up against the wall, it dies very quickly and you can't repair it. So generally they'll dive on one that looks like this very, very quickly. Dude, how dizzy must you be as the man in the missile turret? What a terrible job to have. Now, the mutas are coming in. Now, this is a little bit quicker. This is about 10 seconds quicker than we see mutas generally hit someone's base, but Mihu's ready, right? Like, he's got this turret, another turret on the way. Only one here, so there was, like, some possibility the mutas dive over, but it's not a good amount of mutas to harass with, like, to dive with. 6 is not the right amount. 7 is where you one-shot SCVs. 6, I mean, if you have to take 2 swipes to kill an SCV, it's just not as effective. Like, see that? He gets a full swipe. The SCV still gets away, so it's just not as effective. Already, a muta goes down. He does have it up to 7 now, though, so very, very important number. Third hatchery on location, as you would expect. Like, there isn't... Yeah, sometimes you'll expand down here, but this is the normal location that you're going to have the third base on this map. Very easy to defend. It's a far walk for Terran. And as you see, as soon as he saw that turret, he jumped on it. That's why I was kind of surprised. Because there's just, like, it doesn't get many shots off. You can just kill that one. And he does kill another one as well. This spot is a little bit hard to defend. Generally, you want at least 3 turrets, like, in this area rather than in this area. So kind of weird to see those. Again, that's like 150 minerals gone. They didn't do too much. Now, Mihu moving out with a decent-sized Marine and Medic force. He does have the range upgrade, but he does not have +1. So Saber right now looks like he does want to dog this army a little bit. Has his own +1 attack almost finished up here. In fact, it's going to finish before Mihu's +1, so that's kind of nice. Full group of mutas, a few extras as well. He has shuffled out some of the damaged ones. Definitely something that can kill Mihu's army. Getting a few extra stims there. Oh, and Mihu's going to catch a muta. That was a very nice move. Anytime you see a muta like that, your opponent definitely lost track of it. So, a great and very quick snipe there from Mihu. But Mihu has to actually reinforce. This is actually getting scary. Like, there's enough here to just jump on the army, but you do want to whittle it down first with the micro. And it seems like... Now, obviously, there's a little bit of latency between the players. I'm not sure exactly what this is played on between them, but it feels like Dark is not... Or Saber is not getting the exact, like, connections he wants on his mutas. We've seen him swoop in a couple times and not really get the glaives off. So now Mihu has reinforced. This is one thing that I've heard Korean players say, is that Mihu's latency is just such that they have a hard time with Mutalist Micro against him. Now, diving in, he actually loses quite a few Mutalists here, and oh my god, Mihu destroys, just destroys. 9 Mutalisks only remain. The Marines going to continue to move across the map. Muta's trying to come back in. He's got a full group once again. They do have some damage on him, though. Loses one of them, unfortunately. Not whittling this down as much as he would like. As that lurker upgrade on the way. Let's take a look at Mihu's base. He's going up to a 5th barracks. He has double starport coming up. I don't see a science facility yet, so that's a little bit off. Definitely needs to get that started. I mean, it's clearly not an armory because you need to start that before the starport gets done. So we should see a science facility very, very shortly here. I still do not, though. So I'm a little bit confused. There you go. I just saw it pop up on the production tab. Science facility coming. And so, yeah, it looks like it's going to get into a pretty standard game. But so far, I do want to give, like, a little advantage to Mihu. It seems like the mutas haven't been that effective. They haven't got good harassment off. They haven't whittled down the Marine and Medic as much as they should have so far. Like, in... and part of this, it might be a little bit of latency as well. but it feels like he should have gotten a little bit more of the Marines and medics. Like, more mutas were lost than should have been lost for the amount of bio that's been killed. So yeah, that's why I would give Mihu a little bit of an edge right now. Now, it's not necessarily like a game-ending thing, although things like this do snowball occasionally. Like, if someone's not doing well with the mutas, you can lean on them harder and harder and harder, force them into a more defensive stance. The mutas are not doing counter-harassment, and you're having a much harder time. Now, 6 lurkers are being made, so we should see these mutas very shortly dive to the main base. Basically, when you start getting these lurkers up into position where you're going to defend, the bio can't break you anymore. So you take your mutas and you just shove them into your opponent's base and hurt them as badly as you can, because all this bio is out on the map, right? So he actually brings it over here. Ooh, gets caught by some reinforcements. Absolutely brutal. Loses a couple mutalisks right there. Now Mihu going across the map. Still, he's playing it very, very carefully. You know, this is 3 stacked lurkers. Generally, that's going to be enough easily on the high ground with the little ramp. Of course, always going to be enough. But we haven't seen the mutas really dive to do any counter damage. But he is buying some time here. Defiler Mound on the way. Well, it is done. He's going to get that consumed very, very quickly. Mihu is actually getting into double dropship. In fact, quad dropship. He has 2 vessels going out first. And I didn't actually see, but I don't think a radiate is done. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. We'll see in just a second here, because he's definitely going to want to radiate mutas specifically. If you're going to go 4 dropship, you need to reduce that mutalist count a little bit so that you just get a free path. And he actually goes after 2 lurkers, which that's a more standard way, and that actually looks more normal from Mihu's point of view. If you are going after lurkers immediately, it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be standard. So you're going to expect more and more of that. But here we're going to have 4 dropships. So the 4 dropship build is very, very good. But on this particular map, it can be risky, because if you look at the drop potential, this is a very crowded base, so it's very easy to like move pop lurkers out of here and get them to like right here to burrow, basically right around this range, hits everything. Likewise, down here, most of your rallies are going to be here, and so it's not too easy to really drop here and do real damage. Like, you can run the drones pretty quickly. So normally you go for main base drops, but you can see the entry place for the drops is very small. And you can see already Scourge going up. It looks like he's going to put some Scourge over to this side. And it's just, it's not a map where you see as many drops. This is definitely more of a map where you see players go for like heavy science vessel usage, because the 4th base is hard to get. So let's see what Mihu gets done here. He has a lot of units. Looks like he's going to do a little bit of a push. And how is he going to use this drop? He's actually going to fly kind of over the mutas. He did hit the front to draw some distraction. But I don't know about this. The Marines do start to get out. But as you can see, everything is pretty close. So maybe not getting as good. Well, you know what? And then he unloads some fire bats in there, and there's just not a lot of defense. So definitely a decent amount of the drones get picked off. In the meantime, the drones that got kind of drilled out of there get caught by this force in front of Saber's base. Seems like he is a little bit off this game. Mihu getting more done than I thought he would. That supply dropping dangerously low. We're like right on the brink of destruction right now for Saber. He does a second drop up into the main base. This one will get picked off. It looks like one of the dropships may make it out, since all the mutalisks basically died here. More irradiates going down as well. Oh man, 2 Marines end up living, and he is going to reload another dropship. That's kind of crazy. Like, he is forcing his way in with dropships right now. It's like the double lurker burrow, and well, it is going to, of course, clear this out. But taking a look at the actual positions, okay, a lot of drones are lost. He is remaking those. He's got defilers. He's gained Defiler energy, which means he already has Plague, a couple Evolution Chambers, and in fact, he's going to be going into Hydro Lurker Defiler. Another drop, by the way. Endless drops, man. Are you serious? It's crazy for me, but he does throw down the Dark Storm, so gotta reposition those spines. Okay, well, there you go. I guess if you kill the medic, that's fine. But yeah, he's gonna go ahead, end up clearing that out as well. Mihu, in the meantime, going to try to break another location. Stims right up the ramp. He's gonna get the lurker. He's gonna get the defiler before it gets anything as well. You know what? Honestly, I think that's game. I think Mihu just kind of ran him over there. So well played from Mihu. I think that we'll see some better games from Saber in this series, though. GG, Mihu leads 1-0. All right, so going directly into game number 2 here, we're on Vermeer. Looks like pretty standard openers as we have Mihu scouting towards the top right where Saber is. Very standard hatchery first into what looks like it's going to probably be a 2-hatchery Mutalisk play. Mihu, of course, scouting him first here, getting a little bit lucky with that, is able to throw his command center down right away before that second supply depot. So able to jumpstart his economy just a little bit quicker. Something you can only do if you scout Zerg first and see that it is hatchery first very, very quickly. So a nice little opener there. And yeah, I'm hoping that we see Saber kind of find his groove this game, because certainly it looked like his Mutalisk harassment was a little bit off there. And again, it could be partially a latency thing, right? Like, but you don't want to blame too much upon that. Like, here's the thing: the Mutalisks are microable outside of, you know, turn rate 24. Just to put this in perspective for people, and I think that this is an important thing that people don't realize. The biggest change going into StarCraft Remastered is they made the game faster for quicker connections. So the original game, when it was launched, like all the games that you saw back in the old Kespa days and OSL, MSL, etc., the LAN turn rate was about turn rate 16 low. Okay, so this is like how we talk about latency in Brood War right now. And turn rate 16 low latency, it was just a hair better than that, basically. But nowadays it goes all the way to turn rate 24, which is quite a bit faster. So actually Mutalisk harassment nowadays, Mutalisk control nowadays is much stronger than it was back when you remember Jaedong winning Star Leagues. You know, basically everything reacts quicker when you click it if you get those types of turn rates. So honestly, like, some people think that the game was actually better with the game maxing out at like turn rate 16. Some strategies have actually disappeared because the micro at the very top level has become too strong reactively. Things like a lot of 2-factory plays from Terran are a lot harder to pull off now because the Dragoons can just kite like basically perfectly outside of tank range, etc. But anyways, just something to throw out there. Now, this is just like the most standard opener that we see, right? Like Saber right now getting his 2-hatchery Mutalisk going, his second gas is coming up, just droning lightly. You know, a medium amount of Zerglings. This is enough Zerglings to just make you play a little bit carefully as Mihu. And Saber is taking that top left hatchery. So that third base on location, but is so far away when you look at it, right? That is such a long travel distance. It's really hard to shut down something like that. Now, Mihu is going ahead and getting that academy and going up for the engineering bay. All very standard things. It looks like it's going to be a 3 barracks play here. And we'll see what he's able to get done with that. You know, 3 barracks is very middle of the road. If you go 2 barracks, that is going to be like the very fast factory, like factory before 6 minutes. And then if you go 3 barracks, that's middle of the road. And 4 barracks is, okay, we're doing heavy pressure. And the factory could be as late as 7 minutes plus. And, you know, those all give you very different looking mid games. It's basically what you're trying to do with your bio. 3 barracks, I think, is... it's like the most flexible. Sometimes you're going to walk out with it. Sometimes you're going to play defensively with it. It just kind of depends on what you're scouting, what the micro is looking like, and things like that. So we'll see what Mihu's choices will be. But the first set of mutas are coming down at a very normal timing. You know, getting to that base between 6:05 and 6:10. That is normally the first swipe in time. Of course, the Mutalisk count is not super high at the moment. He can definitely pick off Marines, but not one-shot SCVs yet. So he's just going to hit the periphery a little bit. Mihu's zoning him out. Looking good, you know, as far as his defense. He's got, like, well-placed missile turrets and moving his army quite well also. And now we're up to that 7 Mutalisk count. So this is where you can start one-shotting those SCVs. The factory is coming up from Mihu, a pretty quick one there as well. Now, the mutas going along the edge... Yeah, I don't know that they're going to find anything right now. It seems as if range is actually already done from you, too. I wasn't paying super close attention, but you always finish range before you start your factory. So that's something that's like, basically when range is out, you fight well against Mutalisks. Pre-range, your Marines can't really do anything. And he does finally pick off his first SCV. Mihu just canceling that missile turret. Very good missile turret placement here. This one, a little bit far forward to the back. Like, if he ends up harassing the natural at all, which, you know, some people just kind of skip it a little bit because there's a lot of missile turrets, but this is one that can be picked off, like, immediately. See all this dark area up here? Well, this is all dark for Mihu, right? So you can just kind of kill it with taking minimal shots. Now, this is a full group of Mutalisks. In the meantime, we have the Hydralisk Den coming up and the Queen's Nest. So definitely going to be going up towards those Defilers, obviously getting some Lurkers out as well. And we'll see at what speed he wants to start his Lurker upgrade. I think he's going to start it quickly, though. Okay, a little bit better with the Mutalisk control this time. Does end up losing a Muta, but puts a bit of damage on the Marines. Kills 2 or 3 so far. Going to instantly regroup those as well. And you can see that right now, Saber is kind of adjusting to Mihu a little bit. That's a much quicker Lurker upgrade. It's not, like, super quick. You know, there's all sorts of different times you can get your Lurker upgrade during. And he did wait till he had, like, basically a full group of Mutas to get it, so he didn't want to spend early gas on that. He did want to mass up those Mutalisks. But just something to take in note is that he should have Lurkers ready before Mihu can really get across the map. Back at Mihu's base, we have the double starport going into second engineering bay, so just kind of hitting his macro. And, you know, this is the to and fro that we see very oftentimes in TVZ. There you go. That's what we're looking for from Saber here. This is much more in line with what I was kind of hoping to see. You can see him just kind of whittling down. He takes some damage. You're always going to take some damage. It's a trade, right? But it's about who can do this trade more efficiently. Now, Mihu having this high ground position, going to just chill there for a moment. Nothing can really surprise him from any angle. And, of course, Zerglings running up are going to have a harder time as well. So, anyways, continues to move forward. He's going pretty far out there. You do have to be a little bit careful at this point. Lurkers and a Sunken finishing up. So I don't think he's going to be able to get any actual damage done. Looks like a medic did get picked off there as well. Saber continuing to try to go in. Is he going to be able to pick off a bit more? Ooh, that was a good reaction right there from Mihu. Gets that line of Marines all firing. Reduces that Mutalisk count a little bit once again. And Mihu actually hitting before those Lurkers hatch. He gets rid of the Sunken, but as the Lurkers come out and more Mutas come up, and Lurker Spine's starting to hit. All right, Saber finally takes a very solid engagement right there. So that went pretty well. He did lose some Mutalisks. He lost the Sunken. The Sunken doesn't really matter, but he lost no Lurkers. The Mutalisk count being a lot lower is a bit painful, and Mihu's certainly going to continue to put that pressure on. Yeah, that's... I think it was a good hold by Saber, though. Right? Like, he held it all just in time. He's going to be able to kind of comfortably get into his Defilers. You can see that Consume upgrade already working, almost halfway done on his Carapace upgrade as well. Mihu just popping out his Science Vessels. Does have both engineering bays going, which is really, really nice. That is a nice and quick 2-1 upgrade that he's going for. Oh! Double dropship right after the first 2 vessels. That's interesting. He hasn't really had time to clear the map yet. Look at this, trying to go in between, and he's just in between the 2 Overlords. Oh my god, that's crazy. Okay, does fly within vision radius of the Overlords now, so let's see if he can get into position. It looks like Saber didn't see that. He's repositioning the Lurkers, and this is a little bit of a surprise. Double irradiate on the Mutalisks. So not even spending any there on the Lurkers, and suddenly this very quick drop, which again is surprising with how quickly it's put out there, is doing some good damage. He's gotten rid of all... Oh my god, he's actually killing off the Lurkers here as well. Very impressive drop here from Mihu. He kills like every Muta and a bunch of Lurkers. I mean, you can't get much... I'm getting chills here. That was a very well executed drop. Went right in between the 2 Overlords. He knew exactly where he needed to stay. Very, very well done from Mihu. that's like obviously worth a lot more than irradiates, right? Like that's what you're doing when you make the dropships is you're not making vessels to get irradiates, but when you're getting your drop up there and you're killing like all the mutas, 5-6 lurkers, dealing harassment damage. I mean, this has been extremely successful from Mihu. Very, very well done. He still has this force alive. And look at this. Poor Saber is just following it around with Dark Storms, but Mihu running away from those Dark Storms, still putting out more damage onto those drone lines. And look at that. Continues. It's like Ring Around the Rosie in his base right now. Really, really well done from Mihu, who is going to stim into the natural now as well. He is just everywhere. Fantastically played from our Chinese Terran. I tell you, that first game, it felt like Saber just wasn't used to what was going on. Maybe latency-wise, like his mutas were a bit off, and it just kind of fell apart for him. Here, it was a much better opener, but Mihu just with the kind of unexpected timing on those dropships, finding a bunch of damage. Great attack here, great control within the main base. And now it's a terrible situation here for Saber. He is having a very hard time, not really mining, loses his natural expansion. Mihu continuing to rotate around, starting to remove some of these overlords. That's oftentimes something you do before the drops. That's like one of the first things you generally want to do if you're going to go mass science vessel is just run around and kill every overlord that might be in these types of locations around the map. That's like an important part of map making, is leaving locations where the overlords can get some intel, but also could be picked off, right? So Mihu just now starting to clear some of that. He's keeping the pressure on. And now the pressure is so high that, like, I don't know that Dark can, or, sorry, I keep looking at that ID, that Saber can keep this going, right? Like, I talk about this a lot in Terran vs. Zerg, where if Zerg drops below 70 supply, that's like the minimum that you need to stay alive with the Defiler tech. Here, he's like very weak economy. It's like if you have 62 supply, you have something, you don't have enough of anything, basically, right? Like he throws down a Darkstorm, he's one ling there. It's just, it's not enough. Gets a lurker out, he's gonna brew it, okay, but I mean, you can easily target down the hatchery if you want. You can walk to the back and just deny mining. There's not enough units. There's not enough drones. And Mihu knows that, right? Like, he's got a group over here, just making sure nothing's going to occur, like nothing's going to run down the ramp and take an extra base. And as long as he's consistently producing and making science vessels and hitting those irradiates, like, you're just not going to catch up. You know, eventually there's enough vessels out in situations where Terran is this far ahead that it starts to become a little bit of a math problem. It can look in that way. You know, a bit like, for instance, PVT. If you get too many bases from Protoss and they've killed the critical mass of tanks once, which is basically what we've seen, the critical mass of Lurker Defiler has been killed off, and now he's just leaning on him. And it's a tough situation. Once again, this natural is going to go down. GG, Mihu leads 2-0.